name is James Connell. Currently, I'm working as a market asset protection manager for Stage Stores. Stage Stores is a retail clothing department store. I will be discussing my company as a whole and my department specifically. Our company objective is to bring name brands and values to small and mid-sized communities across America. Due to our business model, we usually do not have a comparable competitor in the majority of our markets. That being said, for the purpose of this analysis, we will compare Stage Stores to Ross stores on their entrepreneurial orientation. I have some insight into Ross as I went completely through their interview process. Both companies execute the 5 dimensions of corporate entrepreneurship at different levels. The first asset of corporate entrepreneurship that I'd like to discuss is autonomy. The asset protection department of my company, Stage, does not currently allow for what they call one-off programs or piloting programs at one location if not approved by specific individuals, regardless of the quality of the program. Skunkworks programs are non-existent and pilot programs are micromanaged. Being a public traded company requires a lot of checks, balances, and rules for new initiatives. Ross, like Stage, is a publicly traded company allowing public oversight of all programs, increasing the pacification of retail clothing industry's endorsement of drastic new programs, even if they have promising projections. This may point to the large profit and stock losses for the corporate clothing retail companies in the last 3 years. On this asset of corporate entrepreneurship, Ross rates basically even with Stage. The next thing I'd like to talk about is innovativeness. Stage is currently investing in systems and intel improvements across the board. In the last 12 months, our omni-channel business, internet, app, non-brick and mortar has grown significantly as a result of these investments. This is beneficial for the future because the company that cannot keep up with technology cannot keep up with its customers. In my department specifically, the corporate team is investigating in new hardware devices to increase theft prevention in our buildings. The issue being these investments and initiatives are poorly planned and executed. Lack of communication leaves the field ill-equipped to utilize these innovations to their fullest potential. Adversely, Ross's AP department researched and tested their investments and initiatives thoroughly, leading to the implementation and successful deployment of new technology, including DVRs, store security officers, and more. By staying with the latest technology, Ross can stay ahead of the profit losses. When it comes to innovativeness, Ross ranks higher than Stage. The next facet of entrepreneur orientation that I would like to focus on is proactiveness. At Stage, our corporate office monitors and creates multiple reports and key performance indicators to provide insight of future trends. In the AP department, we use these reports and insight to predict future loss trends. Unfortunately, we use these reports to understand the trends, but do not invest in the resources to utilize the observations gained from these insights. What I learned about Ross during the interview process is that they have almost become complacent as their overhead is so little and they are known as the leader in discount retailers. They have yet to be the first to provide new services, products, or business styles to its consumers. Another factor plaguing the brick and mortar clothing retail business. In this facet of entrepreneurial orientation, I believe that Stage ranks lower than Ross stores. The next facet I would like to talk about is competitive aggressiveness. Stage executes an aggressive spirit by placing itself in small markets with little to no competition. They tap into a market that their competitors fail to capitalize on due to volume. In addition, Stage continually executes one of the best coupon systems for loyal customers. We relate to the internet and sales phone app market, but both have seen great increases since their implementation. Although Ross has been one of the stronger performing clothing retailers in the last 3 years, their drive to better their competition seems minimal, relying on their cheap prices to always win their consumer. In this facet, I believe that Stage ranks higher than Ross in entrepreneurial orientation. The last facet of entrepreneurial orientation I would like to discuss is risk-taking. As stated in the Destin Lumpkin article, risk-taking is more than the act itself, but the extensive act of minimizing uncertainty through planning. Stage, and specifically my department, realized that it is in a tight economic situation and understands risk-taking will be the necessary to change for the better. Risk-taking does not mean blind ambition. All front-end research that will reduce the chance of failure or identify factors that could require redevelopment of the game plan must be completed. My overall company is reducing the labor hours to stores as a risk to combat the tough economic times. I feel this is risky as we are now eliminating customer service, reducing overall purchases and profit. My department specifically is taking a risk by asking for more funding to increase staff and technology. I believe this risk is correct, but we have two different departments with two very different strategies that conflict with one another. I'm not familiar with Ross's future initiatives, but as I have previously stated, they seem complacent in their market, not thinking out of the box with creative initiatives. In this facet of entrepreneurial orientation, I believe Ross and Stage are equal. The two areas of entrepreneurial orientation that I would like to focus on that pertain specifically to my company, Stage, would be autonomy and competitive aggressiveness. How my company executes these two facets of our entrepreneurial orientation is very different from one another. When it comes to autonomy, as I previously stated, Stage, and specifically my department, the AP department, a small group of seniors at the corporate office decide the future of all endeavors and initiatives. This is similar to most companies, but these seniors do not reach out to the field and stores for advice. In a resale store, the corporate office's main function is to support the stores, to ensure highest profits. All new ideas come from the senior office. This means when initiatives are not succeeding, they continue to operate as the field's input is not considered. Culture and recognition can mean the difference between a company that merely survives and one that thrives. The company recently did an engagement survey and nearly all employees in the corporate office were satisfied, while the corporate field and stores reported low satisfaction. The next area I'd like to talk about that pertains specifically to my store, Stage, is our competitive aggressiveness. Something I feel we are currently executing very well. We continue to operate in markets others do not capitalize on. We take a normally large-scale retail department store environment down to fit small, mid-sized communities. We bring brands like Levi's, Calvin Klein, Nike, and more to towns where people would normally have to travel 1 to 3 hours to reach their nearest mall or order the product online hoping it fits. We are continually told by our customer they love our sales and coupons, and that is why they continue to patron our business. The next thing I'd like to discuss is how my company, Stage, could improve on those two facets of entrepreneurial orientation, autonomy, and competitive aggressiveness. So with autonomy, I believe we can increase our entrepreneurial orientation by making structural changes to the small group of individuals at the corporate office that make the decisions on all our initiatives. By reaching out to small groups autonomous from themselves, they would generate more creative ideas that can enhance our business. Corporate programs should be surveyed and tested in the field on a small scale to determine success before being implemented in a company-wide scale, something I think Stage needs to practice more. A greater cohesion between the corporate office, field, and stores will drive a more positive culture. This more positive culture will be based on a system of recognition, of encouragement, and reward. When it comes to aggressive competitiveness, although I do believe we execute this well, we sometimes defeat ourselves. We operate in small to remote areas across the United States. The unfortunate thing is our buyers live in Houston. This means the person that shops at a store in upstate New York has their clothes picked out by someone that lives in Houston. We place ourselves, we don't fully understand or investigate our customer in those areas, and we end up not catering to our local taste. By instead surveying the local customer or seeking third-party studies, we could improve our business. I appreciate you listening to my presentation on Stage stores and the comparison to Ross on entrepreneurial orientation. Thank you.